All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody's doing well. My name is Fernandez. Super excited to be here with everyone. Today is actually very special, of course. When we start talking about Puerto Rican rums, I always get extremely excited. There's a lot of passion for this brand as well. But this is actually very unique. Today's topic, I'm gonna just go directly here because we're actually in nick of time. We added more people to our presentation. Initially, we're gonna have Luis Planas, which is Vice President Master Blender, but there are more people joining us as well. Today's main topic is visiting Edmundo B Fernández Inc. This is actually Hacienda Santa Ana, where Ron del Barrilito is done as well. They do other products as well. Those who are new for this platform, to our right, you have your chat box. I see a lot of people from around the world, from Scotland, of course, the US, the UK, that have already read it, this is phenomenal. If you have any questions, make sure to put them down on the bottom area of the screen, which is ask questions. To the upper right is you see that it says share event. Please invite more people to come to see this event. But if you can't, I understand. The good thing, you can see this later for 24 hours complimentary. If not, you can join our subscription platform. Today's agenda is going to be 30-40 minutes talking about today's main presentation. Then we'll talk about a little bit of contact information, and then we'll have 15-20 minutes, hopefully, with our Rome O'Clock Q&A. Let's deep dive. As mentioned, today's main topic, visiting Edmundo B Fernández Inc. And we have three guests. Luis Planas, which was our main host in the very beginning, who's the master blender. Then we have Eduardo Bacardi, Sales and Marketing Director. And Juan Cartagena, who's in charge of the Visitor Center. These are all three colleagues that come from the Bacardi distillery in Puerto Rico that decided to venture out and do something amazing. Well, enough said. Let's talk about let's get to the rum medication, and let's bring in Eduardo. Are you around?
I am. Let me flip around my camera here so you guys get to see me. Let me know if you see me here.
There we are. There we are. Look,
thanks, Fede. I'm very excited to be here with you guys. Excited to show you a little bit around the Hacienda Santa Ana and what is Ron del Barrilito. Like Fede, like you mentioned, here in Puerto Rico, we have a regulatory agency known by Hacienda that regulates our aging warehouses. So very strictly between 4 and 4:30, they close things down. So we made sure that we're going to get this up front, make sure we get you into the aging warehouses so you see where we age all of our rums, where we bottle everything, and get you guys the inside sneak peek as to what we do.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Can you just go ahead and guide us through?
Absolutely. So we'll get started here. Again, very excited to be here. I have the privilege of working with this amazing brand, not only every day, but also physically every day. This where we're standing right now is the historic Hacienda Santa Ana. So dating back to 1787, when the Spanish crown bestowed upon the Fernández family this massive, what was a sugarcane estate. The house you see in front of us right now, this is the original manor in which the Fernández family settled down and continue to live to this day. It is in the exact same spot, in the exact same conditions, almost. But more than anything, the important part is that it's in the exact same place. And all around you can really feel that sense of, part of being with the brand, with the history, and everything that this brand embodies. So I'm going to take you on the quick tour of what is the Hacienda Santa Ana. So as I mentioned, there we have the house. Here I'm turning, you're going to see the original, what was windmill back in the sugarcane production days. This is where they crushed the cane, where they used to go from here to then the later distillation process, which we will get to soon in terms of the aging and production of our rums. But like I mentioned, let's waste no time in getting into our aging facilities before they close it on us, because it's definitely something that's worth seeing.
Eduardo, the wind right now is used as an office, right, too?
Yes, so this windmill that we have right here is actually the office for a lot of us working here with the brand. So I'm located at the very top, not outside, but right below it. So I'm actually working in the original office that belonged to, at one point, Edmundo Fernández, who the company is named after, who was the son of Pedro Fernández, who started the brand in 1880. So
Got it.
it's a pretty amazing place to be working, really surrounded by a lot of history, by a lot of these relics that we always uncover dating back a couple, 100, 200 years. So it's really amazing.
All right.
So as I mentioned, the original estate dates back to the 1700s. In 1871, we start with what is the story of Ron del Barrilito. So Pedro Fernández, who is Ron del Barrilito's founder, returned from Paris, France, where he was studying chemical engineering. While he was over in Paris, he learned a lot about brandies and cognacs that they used to make in Europe at the time. And when he came back to Puerto Rico, to his family's Hacienda Santa Ana, he actually started tinkering with these formulas and these recipes while on his family's sugarcane estate. Obviously, that led to the creation of rum. And so he started making different blends of rum and eventually started making some really elegant blends right now. Actually, I want to cut in right now. The car that you see coming across right now, that is one of the Fernandez family members. He is the one currently living in the house, and he is the grandson of Pedro Fernández, our founder.
Wow.
So had to throw that in there. It's just it goes to show you how ingrained in history we really are here.
Excellent.
So going back to Pedro Fernández, he started tinkering with some different types of rums, and eventually by 1880, he started producing this rum that he kept hidden in his house, the house you see right in front of you, and friends and family would very affectionately ask for it and refer to it as Ron del Barrilito, so rum from the little barrel. And eventually in 1880, when they incorporated, that became the name of the brand. It became what the brand was known for, this very premium at the time, a 6 to 10-year-old aged rum, which was quite, and still to today, quite unheard of when it comes to the Puerto Rican rum reputation. So it's something that we've preserved in time. It hasn't changed since 1880. So it's something we're very proud of.
Eduardo, so the myth in Puerto Rico is that Ron del Barrilito was like Pedro used to make simple, basic, or more like basic standard rum, but he had his special collection, and people would be like, hey, I want that rum from your little barrel that you're like stocking and you don't want to share. Is that true, or that is a myth?
That's absolutely true. So like I mentioned, when he returned from Paris, he started creating different blends and using his techniques from the brandy world, from the cognac world. And when he did come across that one very special blend, he hid it in his little barrels in his house, to keep it for the VIPs when they came to visit. Obviously that caught on and people got wind of that, and they didn't even want his basic things. They wanted that rum from the little barrel, which is obviously where the name comes from. And, I think it speaks to the premiumness that is Ron del Barrilito since the very start.
All right. Let's I think we should go to the warehouse before you get kicked out.
Absolutely. So we're stepping in here to the warehouse. Let me know if you still hear me. So these warehouses are probably dating back to the early 1900s when they were built. So if you do lose signal, that's probably because the walls are about 3 feet thick. These guys did not mess around with when it came to protecting their rum. As you can tell, these barrels are larger than you might see in the average. These are 500-liter or 132-gallon barrels that previously aged Oloroso sherry. So they
we're
Spain, where they
we're starting to
Oloroso sherry.
We're losing you a little bit.
Okay, let me know when you get me back.
Now we can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So I'm showing you a bit about these barrels. As I mentioned, they used to age Oloroso sherry. In this aging warehouse alone, where I just walked into, I walked past hundreds, if not thousands, of years of history. A lot of these barrels that you see around here, for example, this one's been aging rum since 1985. Some that we passed were 82. Some that we passed go back to the 1970s. So we really do have an incredible age stock of aged rums, given that the Fernández family has been producing these rums here in the same place for so long. So let me know if you could still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. So the barrel you see here is one of the oldest barrels we have here in the Hacienda. It dates back to 1952. It is called La Doña for the Ron del Barrilito fans out there who know about this. And for those who don't, I encourage you to come to our visitor center where you can learn a little bit more about that history and the legacy that comes behind that barrel. Definitely a special one, not only for Ron del Barrilito, but for Puerto Rico in general, given its presence and history.
That's awesome.
So now I will take you to what is our maceration room. So this room here is where our maceration process takes place. Now this is a very ancient process dating back obviously to the 1800s when rum was produced and all the ingredients were sourced here from the hacienda. So what the maceration process includes, and I'll touch on it lightly because it is a very complex and interesting process, but what it includes is the use of around 24 natural fruits or spices that at the time were collected here on the Hacienda Santa Ana, and they are macerated or mixed with a high strength alcohol for several weeks, several months at a time to create a very, very thick in consistency, very strong flavor profile alcohol that is then used to put into our entire distillate. And then that is, once it marries all together, is what goes into our barrels to age for the exact time that they're needed for all the blends.
Excellent.
These are wooden tanks that are original since the start of this production. They each are refreshed with the ingredients that are needed for the maceration every few weeks, every few months. We keep it fresh. It's not something that, you know, there are no preservatives, no artificial ingredients, no caramel, no sugar that's added. It all comes naturally from the process that we have here.
So the small barrels are doing the same thing?
These small ones are doing the exact same thing. So these large ones are wooden as well as the small ones. They each have a very unique ingredient, not anything that I can disclose nor even know, because obviously it is part of the formula. It is part of the secret formula that the Fernández family has in place. And each one of these in different proportions is added to the neutral cane distillate that we start with, obviously in very small proportions, because this is not a spiced rum, in very small proportions, that then goes into, like I mentioned, the barrels where it goes to age for several years until it is ready to blend. We don't have a solera system. These barrels, once they're filled, they're closed, and the only time they're open is when they're ready to be used for a blend.
Very cool.
So now I'm walking you through to the original bottling line and production that we have here. It is very humble, very simple, still very much by hand that process is done. So our production team will, you know, when we are bottling, we'll man this product line. We do add the labels by hand. We add the caps by hand. Everything is very manual. And it's something that we're proud of because we really do check every single bottle one by one. We make sure that, you know, there are hands passing on it. There's nothing automated about this process at all. I mean, even including this this production table, which if you look here, each of these slabs actually comes out, and we just simply roll down the bottles as they're ready to be packed.
Exactly, and right, and there's on the bottle there's still some labels that are completely put by hand, right?
That's absolutely correct. So again, as I mentioned, if we were doing a bottling run, this table would be absolutely full of bottles as they're passed down, being put into their cases. But obviously we have but one here that I can show you a little bit about that label. So as you mentioned, this is the original 3 stars Ron del Barrilito. This is the original product that since 1880 has been around. It is Pedro's creation, his baby. It is, I won't steal too much of it because Juan will mention a little bit about each of our products, but it is a 6 to 10 year old age rum. And what I want to point out here is the label. So the label is very unique in the sense that it has not changed since the start of this brand. You can look back at some of the labels from dating back decades, and they look exactly the same, obviously a little less refined, but the order to things, the logos, the images, they are very much exactly the same, and it's something that we look to maintain and preserve going into the future. It's something special. It's something that, you know, really defines this brand, rooted in time, dating back to the 1800s and 1700s. So it's something we're very proud of in terms of preserving.
Yeah. All right. Nothing has changed. Does the government, is the guy from the government sits in the same place or no?
So he, actually, funny you mentioned that. We have the Hacienda agent. They sit here every single day. He doesn't seem to be here right now, but he's definitely around. And he will sit here right here. He will make sure that, obviously, for tax purposes, we're doing everything, you know, by the book. In terms of the TTB, in terms of their regulations, everything is regulated by them. It is a practice that is enforced here, and, you know, we completely respect it. We always have. And if anything, it brings another level of quality insurance in terms of, you know, doing things correctly to not only this brand, but all Puerto Rican rum industry, and hopefully those for the rest of the world.
That looks awesome.
Perfect. So I will walk you back out of our aging facilities. As you see, we have the windmill right in front of us. As you can see, really everything is a stone's throw away here. That's a luxury we have, that even myself, I'm able to quickly walk over and ask the production team questions, learn more about the brand. If they're doing a bottling run, a lot of times they'll throw me on the bottling line, because that's just part of how we operate here. But at the same time, I can go over to the visitor center, which we're going to now, and engage over there with our staff over there and any visitors touring the facility. So making that transition, what we have in front of us here is our visitor center. It opened early last year, and it took over what was at one point another warehouse, and where the product used to be distilled. After the last hurricanes in 2017, the old building took its final blow. So we used that wood and used the structure to repurpose it and make it into what is now our visitor center. So we're very happy to have this. It's welcomed almost 10,000 guests in its first year, which is amazing. People just looking to learn about the brand, immerse themselves in what is the Hacienda Santa Ana. And we're really happy. We have an amazing team here that strives to educate everyone in the deepest and most in-depth explanation of what is the brand's history and what we stand for. I gave you right now the triple fast forward version. So again, our brand specialists here have an amazing knowledge of what is this brand, everything that has to do with the history. They are very involved on the production side, with the brand side, behind the bar, everything that there's to it. So we're really happy to have this team representing this brand here from Puerto Rico to the rest of the world.
That's awesome. And that building, right? That building, this is the building where they used to restore all the barrels before. But of course, you guys made it. Now it's looking beautiful, right? You guys fixed it up. It was really old.
So I'll take you for a quick tour in here before we get into before Luis steals the limelight from me. But here we have our visitor center, some of the original stills that were found all around the property.
That's awesome. Did you knew they had all those things around it?
What's that?
Well, did the family, did Manuel and Pedro knew that all those stills were hanging around?
So I think so much time had passed that they didn't even realize all the treasures that they had around the property, and there's still many to be found. We have a lot of these kind of, larger stills that were found all around, half buried, some fully buried. A lot of things like that original barrel cart, or this original bottle cart that you see here.
Yeah.
These are all legit antiques that they were not made for the purpose of this visitor center. They're all original antiques. So this is another good example. We're here in our visitor center store. And
Yeah.
here we have some of these relics I mentioned. You know, we have some old school typewriters, calculators,